Since you hit play on Wife Teacher Mommy, the podcast today, I want to make sure that you know that our free self-love challenge is happening in February 2024 right here on the podcast. The goal of this challenge is to make creating an intentional practice of self-love even easier than ever simply by plugging in your earbuds and listening for about 10 minutes per day. But for the full experience, you're going to want to get the scorecard so you can enter the giveaways, get the daily journal prompts sent to your inbox, and join us for the live wrap-up podcast recording. Yes, you get to join me in the studio and record the podcast together live. It is all free. Go to wifeteachermommy.com/self-love challenge to sign up. Again, it is completely free. You'll get a daily reminder with the free 10-minute coaching each day and your journal prompt, and you will see a transformation over these 14 days. It is not only going to impact your relationship with yourself, but as I'll teach during the challenge, it is going to impact every single other relationship you have in your life, your relationship with other people, your relationship with teaching. That energy is going to impact every single other aspect of your life. So sign up at wifeteachermommy.com/self-love challenge. It's free. Now let's get to the episode. You are listening to Wife Teacher Mommy, the podcast. Lucky Charms, St. Patrick's Day activities, and more ideas for teachers and homeschool parents. Have you ever tried Lucky Charms St. Patrick's Day activities yet? They are a great way to get kids engaged and have even more fun while teaching math. And we also like to bring in some language arts, writing, and art with them too. Your students are going to be so lucky that you are listening to this episode today. Okay, that was cheesy, wasn't it? But they are really going to love these St. Patrick's Day ideas that we are sharing today. So let's get to the show. Glad you're here listening to Wife Teacher Mommy, the podcast today. I'm your host, Kelsey Sorensen, a former elementary teacher turned homeschool mom. Whether you are a teacher or a homeschool parent, my goal at Wife Teacher Mommy is to provide you with both teaching ideas and mindset tools to help you live your absolute best teacher life. Be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss an episode. Now let's go. Okay, I want to spill the beans on something a bit unrelated to you quick before we start diving into this episode. So, my team and I have been busy planning for Educate and Rejuvenate 2023 since the beginning of January, and let me tell you, I am so excited. And in case you're unfamiliar with this, like if it's your first time here or if you haven't heard about the event before, Educate and Rejuvenate is our virtual conference that helps teachers and homeschool parents kick teacher burnout to the curb and live their best teacher life. We always have a comedy keynote, workouts, life coaching, tons of pre-recorded sessions for you to watch, live panels, and so much more. There is a huge community feel. Last year, the engagement was through the roof. We were all coming together and learning so much. We heard from so many that it was their best PD ever. We do offer a certificate for it. We heard that it was bringing attendees' fire back, and lots of people said they'll definitely be attending the next one. And I'm so excited that the next one is nearly here. Well, not exactly because it's at the end of June, but we're nearly ready to start sharing about it and getting on a Zoom. I'll share about that. So we've locked in 2 incredible keynotes, so you've likely heard about before, plus tons of amazing speakers. If you loved last year's event, this one is going to be even better. And if you have yet to attend one, this is the one to start with, my friend. I'm going to put the wait list in the show notes so you can sign up for the wait list. You'll want to do that because we have very special early bird pricing only for those who are on the wait list. Like even if you're already already on our email list, you can't just be on that to get this. You have to be on the actual Educate and Rejuvenate wait list. The other thing is when you're on that wait list, you'll be invited to the Zoom call that I will be doing where I will be announcing the keynotes, announcing the speakers, announcing all the information about the event and everything you could want to know. I'll be face to face with you, which I just love. I love being face to face with you. And you'll just get to be the first to know. And I'll be doing something really special on that call just for those that night who are there. So while you wait, we'll be starting to have some guessing games on social media of who the speakers and keynotes are. We'll give like little clues and see if people can guess. I mean, we won't tell you, but you can know. You can be like, I called it or whatever when you get on the Zoom if you were right. So be sure to follow along in our Wife Teacher Mommies Unite Facebook group, our Facebook page, our Instagram, TikTok, wherever you like to hang out on the internet. You can basically find us under Wife Teacher Mommy. So be sure to follow us on social and then go to educateandrejuvenate.com to sign up for that wait list. The link is also in the show notes. I recommend when you sign up for the wait list, you also sign up for text messages too, and not just email. So then you'll get a text as soon as the Zoom is about to start, is there's a chance the room will fill up because there's like a certain number we can hit. We will send a replay to everyone on the wait list, but it's going to be way more fun if you join us live. Again, there's also something special for those who are live there. It's going to be great. And also when you're on the text list, we'll also send texts like about the podcast episodes too. So you'll make sure not to miss an episode. So we generally like to share really valuable information over text. And yeah, so that's that. Today we will be talking all about Lucky Charms St. Patrick's Day activities and a few more ideas for St. Patrick's Day too. But food in the classroom could just be so fun. I remember as a student being so excited when I got to do activities like the ones I'm going to be talking to you about today. And honestly, as a teacher, it was really fun for me too to mix things up and see their faces light up. And now that I'm a homeschool mom, my own kids, they beg to do these activities each holiday. So they're just really memorable and fun. Obviously, if you were a teacher in a classroom, be sure to be aware of any allergies or diabetes or gluten intolerance, celiac, or anything before handing out the Lucky Charms. But it's a really fun activity. Okay, so the first one that I like to recommend is a count and sort. So this is where they get their bag of Lucky Charms and you might have just the marshmallows in there. I know you can like actually go on Amazon and buy just the marshmallows and we will add the link to that in the show notes. But if you grab the cereal, you can have them just pick the marshmallows out or whatever. And with that, they're going to sort them into the different marshmallows. So they'll have like, you know, all the horseshoes here, all the rainbows here, horseshoes, balloons, heart stars, horseshoes. Like now I want to like sing that song, right? But they'll sort all those together. For the younger kids, this is the work, right? Like they're sorting them kind of like by color, like it's hands-on, kinesthetic and all that. And then they're also counting them. So they're counting how many of each one, writing that down. For the younger kids, this alone is like the work for them. This is what they're learning. They're learning, they're counting, they're sorting. For the older kids, this is just the start of the fun. And they'll be using this count and sort as a key for other learning activities. So they need to know how many they have of each one because they're going to do more with that. Okay, so that is activity number one, the count and sort. The second activity I love is comparing numbers. So for pre-K and kindergarten, they will just compare. So you're comparing like how many hearts to how many balloons or whatever. And they will write, you know, greater than, less than, or equal to. So we have Lucky Charms, well, we call them cereal marshmallows activities because Lucky Charms is trademarked, but we have those and they're ready to go. And with that, we have these crocodiles and they have like a leprechaun hat on. So it's super cute. And then they can like glue on the crocodile with the mouth facing the right way or the equal sign, crocodile leprechaun hat. So they'll be able to use those to compare the numbers. Now for first and second graders, we have addition and subtraction problems where they can compare the numbers. So it's like how many if you have the hearts plus the stars or whatever. And on the other one, it might be like we have them solve some subtraction problems and then they compare that. So that is what we've got for the comparing numbers for the first and second graders. And then for the third through fifth graders, we have them doing fractions. So we have them doing the fraction of each one. So if it's like hearts versus horseshoes, it'd be like the number on the bottom is how many total marshmallows there are. And then on top is how many they have of that one. So let's say, for example, they have like 20 marshmallows and they have 4 hearts or whatever. So it'd be 4/20. They could even like, you know, simplify the fraction. And then on the other side, maybe they have 5 stars over 20 and then they can, you know, simplify and then they can do the comparison. So it goes to show that they can do comparison no matter what their level is for the pre-K through fifth. We've got that covered. Okay, so once you have your key, then we're going to dive into doing some math problems with it. So for the youngest grades, we're going to work on addition and subtraction. For the younger grades, like I mentioned, the count and sort was kind of their work, that was kind of work for them altogether. They're not going to use that as a key because that might be a little complicated. So instead, we have addition and subtraction right on the page where they can like add their marshmallows to it and solve the problems. But then there are pictures on the page as well. For the first and second graders, they will be doing addition and subtraction problems, but using their count and sort page as a key. So it's like they know they have this many of each marshmallow. So it's like, okay, let's add together the hearts and clovers. Or let's see if we ate all the star marshmallows, how many would we have left? That's them doing these addition and subtraction problems. Now, for the upper grades, we are going to dive into fractions. So what we are going to do is they are going to put on the bottom. So for the denominator is how many marshmallows they have all together. So that is the bottom of their fraction. And the top of the fraction is going to be how many they have of that marshmallow. So they will do that for each of them: the heart, stars, horseshoes, clovers, and balloons, pops, golden rainbows, and the red balloons. Did I say red balloons twice? You get what I mean. So for each of those marshmallows, they will do the fraction for it. Okay, next is the probability activity. And this one actually, like I said not a lot of new content. For the upper grades, they can maybe handle a little bit of that if this is new. So for this, we are doing Lucky Charms probability. So what they'll be doing is they'll be putting the number. So for example, let's say they're looking at hearts. They'll put the number of hearts on the top, and on the bottom, they'll have the total marshmallows. So basically that fraction they have, but then they'll just do the division to figure out the percentage. So basically they're converting the percent into that. And the reason it's probability is it's because if they were to like not look and randomly draw out that marshmallow, that would be the percentage, like the probability of them drawing that marshmallow. Okay, so now that they've done fractions, probability, addition, or subtraction, depending on their levels, they will be able to use those for comparing numbers. For pre-K and K, the activities are all separate. They don't really like build on each other like they do for some of the older grades. But for pre-K and kinder, they will just compare straight numbers. So they'll compare like, oh, how many hearts compared to how many horseshoes, and they will compare which is bigger. Then for first and second, they're going to compare using addition and subtraction problems. Luckily, they've already done a lot of this math. And for third through fifth, they'll be comparing the fractions. Again, they'll have already done this. Okay, so those are all the math activities we can complete with these Lucky Charms marshmallows. So much fun. But we don't like to stop there. It's so fun to also incorporate some language art, some writing, some art. So one other activity I like to do is fill in the blank story. So these are kind of like Mad Libs, but for some of the nouns, instead of them just coming up with a noun, they'll pull out a marshmallow and put that in the noun line. So like for a noun, they might put a rainbow, or they might put a star, or they might put a horseshoe or a unicorn or whatever. They also get to practice parts with speech with those, because then for verbs and adverbs and adjectives or all that, they get to still just come up with them like they would with a normal Mad Lib or fill in the blank activity. So we have leveled versions. So depending on their level, they'll get an appropriate version. For younger grades, for even younger ones, they get a color by number instead for an easier activity, and they can draw out marshmallows to help them decide the colors. But again, I want to mention that all these activities I'm describing, for the most part, you could do them on your own. Like you could grab any Mad Lib and you could just have students for the nouns, they get to pull out a marshmallow. And it could just be any Mad Lib that you happen to have on hand, whether it's like from an actual like Mad Lib brand one, or you have like our 36 weeks to fill in the blanks or something, you could use those for that too. The ones that come with our St. Patrick's Day activities are St. Patrick's Day themed, and they're made for this activity. So they are super fun if you want to grab those. Now, we also like to do some writing and art. So with this, you can have them come up with a marshmallow they would like to add. So if they're like, let's pretend they were working at the Lucky Charms factory and they got to come up with the next marshmallow, kind of like, not too long ago. I mean, our students might not remember it when the unicorn was added. They get to come up with the next one, and then they get to write about, kind of get into creative writing. They get to be creative. Like, what marshmallow would they create? They get to write about what they create and why. Then they get to draw and design their marshmallow. This is great for creative thinking, for art. I just love this activity. And it's really fun, and it can be leveled for students. So for the younger ones, if they're able to just write a couple words and then draw a picture of their marshmallow, that is perfect. But for older grades, they could really get into the why and how they would do it and whatnot. It can be a super fun and engaging activity. Okay, so you can get all of these St. Patrick's Day activities that I mentioned in this episode: the count and sort, the graphing, the comparing numbers, fractions, comparing numbers, probability, addition, subtraction, the Mad Libs, and everything. You can get all of those inside our cereal, marshmallow, and more activities that are available in our shop. They're super cheap. If you're a club member, you can also just go and grab them as part of your club experience. I love that all of you in Wife Teacher Mommy Club, you have access not only to the coaching and the events like Educate and Rejuvenate that I talked about at the beginning of this episode, but you also get to grab resources to use in your classroom to save you tons of time, and you don't have to make additional purchases for those. So love that. If you're a member, be sure to grab those. And if you're not a member, if you're listening to this live in 2023, we are doing a special sale on our sub plans right now. I'm not going to give the details because it's a limited time thing, but you're going to want to check it out. And these are a free bonus if you purchase this week. So be sure to check that out if you're listening live. There's definitely an advantage to subscribing to the podcast so you can hear about any of these sales as they're live because they go quick. Okay, so let's get into the next thing we're going to talk about, which is other St. Patrick's ideas for teachers and homeschoolers that don't involve food. If you're like, I don't want to use food in my classroom, here are some other ideas that you might want to try out. So the first one would be St. Patrick's Day spelling activities. And this is where you could come up with a spelling list that has like Shamrock, St. Patrick's Day, making sure they have it capitalized, leprechaun, pot of gold, like so many things, clover, lucky, lots of great words that you could add to a St. Patrick's Day spelling list. And then you could do some fun activities with it. So one that I love is vowels and consonants. So you can just pick a color for vowels, pick one for consonants. Maybe it's green and orange. And they get to write the words and do the vowels one color and the consonants another. A great way to practice, but kind of make it themed, like pick like St. Patrick's Day colors. Another one that I really like is spell. This is one that is in our St. Patrick's Day spelling activities that you could grab. But with that, they get to kind of like use a paper clip. They use a pencil to kind of like turn it into a spinner. And then there are different ways they might write depending on where the spinner lands. So they might need to like write it with their eyes closed. They might need to write it in all capitals. They might need to write it just different ways that they would write the word. And my children really love this activity. It's really fun. Another fun activity that is included in that bundle I mentioned are our writing rainbows math board games. So if you kind of imagine Chutes and Ladders, like how like it's a board game, but then you can go like up and down. With this, we have a board game, but it's like a rainbow that they can go up and down. It's really themed for St. Patrick's Day. It's the perfect like math center game. There are versions for adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, and you can choose between fractions and whole numbers or both, depending on what level of differentiation you need for the kids that you teach. And kids will have a blast while practicing the 4 operations. In these, they'll draw a card, and if they answer correctly, they get to roll the die and move forward on the game board. And if they land on an orange spot, they get to do something special. Or if they're really lucky, they get to land on the blue cloud that leads them onto the rainbow to move up or down. Another fun thing you can do is study Irish history. So if you need more St. Patrick's Day teaching ideas, you can give students a chance to kind of explore the country of Ireland, where St. Patrick made his home for most of his life. National Geographic Kids or the Smithsonian Institution are online sources for your students to kind of explore and learn more about Ireland. And if you're looking for print resources, you could check out Historipedia, the story of Ireland from then until now, or the history of Ireland. Both of these books use pictures and words appropriate for ages 8 through 12 and are fantastic components to explore historic and current, the early 2000s Ireland. I will link to those books in the show notes so you can check that out. And there are so many more ideas in a blog post that our team has written. It's called 14 Ways to Celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Okay, so I'm adding that link to the show notes for you so you can check out that blog post. You can check out the resources that are all the ones I mentioned about St. Patrick's Day in this episode, including those cereal marshmallow ones. If you want to do all the Lucky Charms activities, which were the main feature of this episode, and have it all done for you, be sure to check those out. And remember, you can also get them as a free bonus if you are listening live and purchase our sub-plan sale that's going on this week. Okay, that is it for today. I hope you got a lot out of this episode. And again, you don't even have to buy anything to do those St. Patrick's Day marshmallow activities. A lot of them, you can just do them. I would love to hear about how it goes. You can always send me a DM on Instagram at Wife Teacher Mommy or email hello@wifeteachermommy.com. Now, the other thing I would love for you to send me in an email is a review of the podcast. If you do that, if you email me a review that you do on like Apple Podcasts or any platform that allows you to leave a review on the podcast, we will will send you a surprise paid item for free. So all you need to do is leave a review, and we will send you an awesome surprise in your inbox. So we will definitely make it worth the 2 minutes it'll take you to rate and leave a review on this podcast. And then once you've done that, you're on the podcast app, you've left a review, you've sent the screenshot to me. Be sure to hit subscribe as well. I have a lot of new and exciting content headed your way really soon, and I don't want you to miss these upcoming episodes. I'll be doing one really soon about how to motivate what we might perceive as lazy students. I've had this come up in quite a few. I'm not just calling out one person or anything. I've had it come out quite a bit as I've been working on my coaching certification and working with members in the club one-on-one. And just as I've kind of been paying a bit more attention in teacher Facebook groups and just seeing what's been going on, in the comments and everything, a lot of teachers are struggling with students right now, more so than before the pandemic. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that and how we can navigate that. That's going to be an episode called How to Motivate, quote, lazy students. So be sure to check that one out. Another one that is coming out soon is how to be more confident in your teaching. So whether you're a teacher or you're homeschooling your kids and you want to feel more confident in your teaching abilities, that is going to be a great episode for you. And I also have more coming out with teaching ideas and tips and tricks, kind of like today's episode. Plus, I'm going to start interviewing some of our Educate and Rejuvenate presenters starting in March. And I have that reveal party coming up. That's going to be on March 22nd. If you want to join me on that Zoom, go to educateandrejuvenate.com and you can join the waitlist. So if you're loving the show, again, be sure to leave a review, email me the screenshot. You'll get a special gift. And then hit subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And I will talk to you next week. If you're enjoying this podcast, be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you're ready to take the next step with me, then you are going to love Wife Teacher Mommy Club. Our top-selling resources for pre-K through 6th grades have been used and loved by tens of thousands of teachers. And the club gives you one-click access to all of them to meet the needs of every child you teach while saving tons of time. Plus, you'll have our certified life coach in your back pocket with several monthly workshops and an Ask a Coach portal you can use 24/7. The combo of resources and coaching is our secret sauce to your best teacher life. Think of my team and I as your personal team, doing the lesson planning for you and on the sidelines coaching you and cheering you on as you focus on what you do best, impacting the children you teach. Plus, if you're loving this podcast, you'll also have access to our private podcast just for members, where I continue the conversation with all of our guests with members-only bonus episodes. And don't forget the club with VIP access to Educate and Rejuvenate, our summer conference, and our private Facebook community full of like-minded educators supporting each other. You do so much for everyone else, so it's time to invest in yourself. Your teacher friends' jaws will drop when they see just how quickly you finish your planning. Not to mention the glow of the happier, more fulfilled you. Head on over to wifeteachermommyclub.com to learn more.